Human beings tend to over-idealize themselves, minimizing their iniquities and maximizing their virtues. We often meet our negatives with reasoning and what seems to us like fair excuses. We all want to be seen as good people. Seen is a key word here, however, because not every person is ready to take the actions needed to be truly good. But what are those actions? And what does good even mean? In this video, we will talk about the concept of goodness and what it really means to be a good person. My dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. If you are interested in learning about spirituality, mysticism, and want to find out how you can become more enlightened, more confident in your decisions, and more in tune with reality, all the while being less distracted by nonsense, then you have come to the right place. My name is Leila Resme, and I am here to guide you. If you would like to go deeper with these subjects and learn more about yourself and your purpose through tools like numerology, make sure to book a one-on-one consultation with me by following the link in the description. Claim your special discount by using the code YouTube11 at checkout. Before we begin, make sure that you subscribe and click the bell button so you never miss out any future videos. And if there is anything at all that you like in this video, please give it a like as it helps my channel grow. So now, without further ado, let's get into our topic. Plato argues that goodness essentially comes from doing what we are best suited to do. This is because when everyone does what they are naturally suited for, they aid the community in their unique way. When everyone has a place and responsibility within the society, then the society is orderly and organized, and there is no need for crime or misdeeds. This can be understood in terms of destiny, for as long as we are fulfilling our destiny, we are providing service to the world that no one else can provide. By fulfilling our destiny, we are fulfilling the will of God, consequently being agents for goodness. There is much to say on the topic of destiny. More insights can be found in my previous video. However, to put it simply, it is our responsibility to figure out what we are good at and then do it. But aside from working on the outer world activities, we must not forget the inner world, the world of our soul, the spiritual aspect of ourselves. Moreover, it could be argued that this aspect of life is the essential key to figuring out what we are here to do, and thus figuring out what is the good thing to do. It is impossible to contemplate good without considering evil. Some say that there is no such thing as evil, only the absence of good. What is evil then is simply the lack of goodness. This becomes clear if we consider that ultimately God is the greatest good. There is no such thing as the opposite of God, again only the absence of God. This means that whatever is capable of participating in something good is equally capable of evil. This is where free will comes into play, for we all have the choice to either participate in goodness or deny it, consequently becoming agents for evil. We see this in our world today. The more society turns away from God, the more evil and degenerate it becomes. The more we deny God, the more we deny goodness. And so instead of seeking perfection of character, we end up seeking momentarily pleasure. We are dual creatures, beings of soul and body. The soul is the ultimate goodness within that leads us towards God. It is light and it elevates us into higher realms. The body-mind feelings is heavy, comprised of the stuff that forms the physical world. It is like the force of gravity that anchors us to the earth. The body-mind feelings is necessary for us to learn through the experiences of life. However, this duality leaves us with a choice we must make daily. Will we go towards God or away towards the matter? Every day we are filled with non-God activities like work, politics, entertainment, and shopping. God is then put to the side and slowly forgotten. This gives plenty of room for evil to flourish. Soon enough, we find ourselves in despair, proclaiming that God has abandoned us, only that it is us who abandoned God. However, it is fair to say that most evil is done by mistake. We would not turn away from God if only we were aware of their consequences. Evil happens through the misunderstanding of what is good. For instance, we confuse goodness with wealth, pleasure, and other worldly things. The application of one's faulty knowledge about goodness causes precisely the opposite of what one intends. This is because everyone, including even evilest spirits, seek goodness at the most basic level. The desire for good is inherent in everything that lives because good is synonymous with life itself. The lack of knowledge of self and God is what leads to such mistakes. The desires of the body-mind feelings get in the way of our soul, clouding our judgment and rendering us unable to see the clear picture. It is therefore necessary to always seek knowledge, for all knowledge is ultimately knowledge of God. Moreover, the knowledge of self is key, for it is through the awareness of our dark side that we can become good. People tend to see the bad in others, often pointing fingers at the governments, the secret elites, the corporations and systems that oppress us. They do this all the while being completely ignorant of the evil they do themselves every single day. It is not to say that our governments are perfect. Rather, it is a suggestion that perhaps if we were not so weak and blinded by our desires, we would not have gotten to the place where we are today. Our governments and systems that rule us reflect the lack of control we have over ourselves. If we do not like what we see in the world, it is a call for us to stop complaining and start discovering how we contribute to such a system. We may consider ourselves nice, light-spreading people, but our darkness lies deep beyond the surface of happy faces and nice smiles. As my teacher Richard Abbott illustrated, if we constantly face only the light, then the shadow will be cast behind us and we will be unable to see it. This is the problem with New Age spirituality, which focuses only on positivity and being nice. Know that nice is not the same as good. These concepts are in fact rather far apart from each other. For example, a chocolate cake certainly tastes nice, but is it good? Having no nutritional benefits and being high in processed sugar, it is obvious that actually it is far from good. Rather, it is the opposite. Of course, it is totally fine to enjoy it on certain occasions, but have it any more often than that, and the bad effects will soon manifest. It is the same with niceness. It may well be appropriate to be nice on occasions, but if that is all there is to our character, then it won't get us very far. We as humans must come with more than just plain niceness. Just like the well-balanced meal has nutritional value, so humans must come with some kind of value also. Niceness is not a virtue. Many are nice simply because, through their weakness, they fail to assert themselves in trying situations, or simply are unable to accept reality for what it is. Perhaps it is not a nice thing to say, but we are not perfect just the way we are. Nevertheless, this is the truth. We are on this earth for a reason, to learn and to perfect ourselves, and to align our actions with the will of God. The very fact that we are alive on this planet suggests that we are indeed far from perfect. This is not an excuse to drown in a pessimistic nihilism, rather a motivation to do our best to become better humans. We must learn to love truth no matter how painful it is, for it is such truths that lead us towards God. The realization that we are imperfect, tainted and corrupted gives us room to choose between continuing down that road or choosing the path of goodness. Knowing how truly evil we can be, yet still choosing to be good, is what real virtue, morality, and goodness are all about. It is often believed that being good is troublesome because it requires much self-discipline and the denial of many pleasures. On the other hand, many immoral and evil deeds give us instant satisfaction and pleasure. Who in the right mind would choose goodness over evil? Some do good things only when it is forced upon them, or if they are aware that they will not get away with doing wrong. In the absence of witnesses, they may commit wrongdoings, as they would feel that their actions won't bear any consequences. But as the law of karma goes, all actions have consequences, whether someone is there to witness them or not. This is because God knows everything, and there is nothing we can hide from God. Some might get away with doing wrong temporarily, seeming as if their actions go unpunished. However, they will always face judgment, if not in this life, then the next, for there is no way of fooling God. There is always a price to pay for everything we do. Sometimes, though, the price tag is hidden because it is a price we usually cannot afford to pay. The desire for goodness is essentially what gave birth to the law. A long time ago, people recognized that they don't want others to do harm towards them, and so they made deals and contracts which prohibited immoral actions. The 10 Commandments is an example of such laws. However, today, this matter is much more complicated. As society turned away from God, the law itself became corrupt and unjust. Moreover, such laws were always limited, because the ultimate reckoning that one must face for their wrongdoings is within themselves. It is the urges of the body-mind feelings that lead towards unlawful and unjust actions, as it rejects the call of the soul toward God. In the Middle Ages, moral conduct known as chivalry was adopted by knights of that age. It required them to behave well, embracing honor, courage, respect, and courtesy. However, chivalry went far beyond mere good manners. It was a way of life, a spiritual discipline for personal improvement and perfection of character. The knights were required to act in alignment with the 7 virtues as opposed to the 7 deadly sins. Committing wrongdoings was seen as shameful, and it was those feelings of shame that motivated men to be good. Today, unfortunately, the art of chivalry is long lost, and it isn't only women who are affected by this. Men and women, as they lose respect for others, inevitably lose respect for themselves. In a free society like the one we live in today, shame is a taboo. Everything and anything goes. Yet we are ever more enslaved by the world we created for ourselves, heading towards a moral decay where discipline, honor, and goodness are a thing of the past. Adopting chivalrous behavior in our day-to-day, such as living in accordance with the 7 virtues, more on that in a future video, is a way of putting spirituality into action and aligning with the force of good. Look, I know that sometimes it isn't easy to discern between the call of our soul and the call of the body-mind feelings, especially when we have been so disconnected from God for the majority of our lives. Luckily, there are things we can do to get us started on the right path. For this reason, I have made a video, How Can We Hear the Voice of Our Soul, which I invite you to watch. However, it is important to remember that although such a skill can take us many years to achieve, ultimately we must and will learn. Sometimes making mistakes, doing what is wrong, and paying the consequences for our actions is the quickest way to learn those lessons. No amount of book reading and meditating will teach us if we do not actively and courageously engage with life. This is precisely the point of free will, the ability to screw things up and get things wrong, so that hopefully in the future we will learn to choose more wisely. My dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. Please consider sharing it with your friends, family, or anyone who you think might need it. I hope to see you in the comments. See you in the next video.